My name is Leroux, and I'm a photojournalist and documentary photographer. I shot this photo on October 6th, 2019. It was done on 35mm film with a Nikon f6. Citizens had organized a march protesting the face mask ban Carrie Lam had put into place just days before. Tens of thousands of people took to the streets on the morning of the 6th, and it was pouring rain that day. I was surprised by how many people showed up to the march considering the rain, but Hongkongers are tough as nails, and this day was no exception. In the afternoon, the rain subsided, and in its place, it began to rain tear gas. Protesters had been marching north up Nathan Road, so naturally they passed by the now infamous Mong Kong Police Station. Anyone who is on the ground in Hong Kong knows that this area of town is a consistent flashpoint due to the August 31st Prince Edward MTR station attack by police against protesters and citizens. Many citizens and protesters still describe that day as a terrorist attack. On this day, demonstrating against the mask ban, police tried to create bottlenecks, encircle the protesters, and cut the march into sections. Protesters who by this time in the demonstrations gotten wise to this tactic began to build barricades all over the neighborhood using Hong Kong's famous bamboo scaffolding poles. It didn't take long after that before we began to hear the familiar sound of tear gas shells being fired at the intersection north of Mong Kong Police Station. I made a move to run up the block past the police station and towards where the crowd was being gassed. As I ran along with some protesters and press, officers on the roof of the Mong Kong Police Station began firing rubber batons at us. I was startled by the batons hitting the steel security doors of some of the closed businesses that we were running by. So myself, a small group of protesters, were crouching behind some concrete jersey barriers waiting for the police to stop firing. It took a few minutes, but eventually they stopped firing the batons at us. I looked over the jersey barrier I was behind, and I saw this woman walking in the middle of the street, fearless. As she got closer to the walls of the police station, the police began to shout at her to move away. She began screaming at them in Cantonese, "Shoot me! Shoot me! Stop shooting the children! Shoot me!" One of the protesters I was with translated this for me. I immediately ran right towards the walls of the police station, which the police did not seem to like. I turned my back on them and got off about 7 or 8 frames of this woman exhorting the police to shoot her. I remember feeling an intense jolt of fear as I ran out and began to photograph her. There's just no telling what the police might do. The scene ended with some citizens and protesters coming up to the woman and escorting her to safety. Even now, when I look at the photo, I feel a remnant of the fear that I did at the time. I also feel a tremendous sense of awe at the woman's bravery and her conviction. It was such a beautiful, selfless act of sacrifice. She captured the zeitgeist for many Hong Kongers, I think, on that day. One of the drivers of the protests has always been, even during the umbrella movement, it was how the police were behaving towards the children of Hong Kong. Parents all over the city have been radicalized by the grotesque and casual use of force by the police. This photo symbolizes all of that for me. It was a very emotional moment seeing and hearing this woman stand up to the police. I was moved by it at the time, and looking back at the photo conjures some of those same feelings of fear and awe, her grace, her courage. I was really affected by seeing that, and when I look back at the photo, I'm continually affected by it, and I was deeply moved by what I saw.